Welcome to the Dynasty Dugout Show, a podcast covering all things minor league baseball. Get a front row seat to the action with everything you need to know about the future stars of Major League Baseball. And now, here's your host, Chris Clegg.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Dynasty Dugout Show. Today, we are going to talk about all things prospects. We've got minor league assignments for nearly every team at this point. We are still waiting on the Dodgers, but I have been able to source out a couple of players that are notable that will be assigned. But I wanted to hop on and talk about the most notable assignments and the youngest players in each league to this point. I'm refreshing now to see if we have an official Dodgers roster yet. I still don't think we do. So I have a decent idea of where kind of the top prospects will be. But other than that, we have minor league assignments for every player. And so I just kind of worked through every roster and I wrote down like the youngest, the most notable, all sorts of stuff, just to kind of look at this idea of like, what do teams think? And I think we can always get a good idea of what a team thinks about a prospect or the organization thinks about a prospect based on where they assign them to open up the year. So we're going to do that. We're going to break it down. We have just one 17-year-old in full season ball this year. You probably know who it is, but we'll talk about it in just a moment. But first, the episode is brought to you by Connect Roasters. Connect Roasters is Ian Happ's coffee company. Smooth blend of coffee. Just finished another cup not too long ago, right before recording the show. Connect Roasters is everything you want in coffee and more, and you can get the Gold Glove blend, Ian Happ's preferred blend, buy one, get one 50% off at their site by using the code Dynasty Dugout or using the link in the description. We are also proud to be partnering with Chinook Seedery. Chinook is the best sunflower seeds in the game. The most wide variety of flavors that you have, Chinook has them. Any flavor you can think of, they got it going on. Get 10% off your order using the code Dynasty Dugout at ChinookSeedery.com. You can follow the link below for the same thing. Let's dive in. Youngest prospects at each level. Today, this episode, we're just going to talk single A, high A. I think that's kind of important to look at those levels. We'll do double A, triple A. Triple A is obviously a weekend at this point. We'll talk about the youngest players there. And we'll do double A as well, probably tomorrow. But right now, let's start in single A. Notable assignments, youngest assignments. You probably guessed it. The youngest player in single A right now is Jesus Mate, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have a long history of putting very young prospects in single A very early. Now, Mate is still 17 at the time being. He will turn 18 not too long, but he'll be 17 and he's starting in single A. I will see this Carolina team in the next couple of weeks. They're coming around my area for a couple of series in April, so I'm pumped to see them because the second youngest player in the league is also on Carolina. But Mate had one of the best seasons in DSL history. Call it what you want to, say DSL stats don't matter. I get it. I don't think DSL stats matter a lick. But the underlying data on Jesus Mate was elite, and that's what really stands out. Mate put up a 104 mile an hour, 9th percentile exit velocity, super high end. I mean, that's above MLB average. He was 17. Kind of crazy. He made contact on nearly 90% of pitches. He had a 15% chase rate. All the things you want to see. And guess what? He came stateside this spring, and he just continued to impress all the scouts in the backfield. Shocker. Jesus Mate is legit, and he's here to stay. I think that he could move through the system quickly, and he's the next Brewers prospect that could really pop off. Looking forward to seeing him, getting some live scouting notes and some film on him. So that will be a lot of fun. And his teammate, Luis Pena. Now, Pena gets underrated. Why? Because, of course, he's overshadowed by the fact that we had Jesus Mate on the same team. He's also skipping the complex and going straight to single A. Pena's not much older. He turned 18 back in November, mid-November, so he's 18 and 4 months right now. He's still pretty young, but this is a really intriguing prospect. Pena, one home run in the DSL, so whatever, but he's speed for days, 39 stolen bases, 4 caught stealings. He's a plus runner, easily. Really good clock times, and he makes a ton of contact. He put up a slash line of 393, 457, 583. Pena's legit. I think he's a bat that not enough people are talking about. And he's gotten a little bigger. Like, he's someone that I think could really be interesting, that he's grown a little bit. If he taps into power, then all of a sudden we're really cooking. I saw he played in spring breakout. I thought he was impressive. His other teammate, the DSL teammate, Jose Anderson, homered. He's not going to single A, unfortunately, at least right now. He may get up there in the next couple of months, but this team is a blast. Like, Carolina has a ton of young talent. They're going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see that team. But Luis Pena and Jesus Mate, this is what the organization is telling you, is they really believe in these guys, and they believe that they're going to hit and they're going to be fine. They can handle this assignment. I don't think going to the complex would have done anything for them, but going to single A, like, remember, Jackson Churio didn't even go to single A until May, his year, when he skipped the complex technically, but they're going on opening day. So really notable. They did a similar thing with Yoferi Rodriguez last year. He's actually one of the youngest players in high A this year now. So you got the bump. Jesus Mate and Luis Pena, two youngest players in single A. But we do have a couple that are also very similar age to them, to at least Pena as well. And one of them is Giovanni Rodriguez of the Mets, catcher last year in the DSL. He is currently stated he's on the 60-day IL, so that's obviously notable, but he's listed on the roster. So that's something of note with Giovanni Rodriguez. He's 18 years, 4 months as well. But I think it's interesting that they have him listed here. It may just be kind of procedural, but I'm pretty intrigued by Giovanni. He kind of stays a little bit underrated, but he is on the 60-day IL. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we are not going to see him because there's a lot of talent too. So I am very interested to see when he comes back. And yeah, I mean, the fact that he was put on single A roster, maybe procedural, maybe not. But the other one is Nathan Flewelling, who was drafted last year by the Rays. He's still quite young too. Prep catcher that gets a pretty aggressive assignment. Yeah, I'm like, okay, like, this is interesting. And I saw Nathan Flewelling in spring breakout. He looked good. He's still really young. He was young for the draft last year as a prep catcher. They took him in the 3rd round. It spoke a lot about how the Rays liked him to take a 17-year-old at the time there. He's got a good frame. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. I think I have a little film of him from spring breakout. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check that out. But just turned 18 in November, mid-November last year. So he will spend the entire season an 18-year-old, and he's on Charleston's roster. I'll see Charleston second week of the season in Columbia, get some more looks at Flewelling and see, is he legit? Because I only saw he must have played 5 innings during spring breakout. Maybe that's generous, but interesting prospect and somebody to keep an eye on. This assignment on him told me that the Rays are very high on him. Now, a couple of other guys you probably know that I'm going to talk about next. Eduardo Tait, who went to single A last year. He was in the complex, bumped to single A at the end of complex season. Tait's 18 and a half. He had a tremendous year last year. Tait has given me a ton of good looks in my time seeing him. Saw him last year when I was in Florida. Saw him in spring breakout. Saw him on the backfield. He's looked good. He's a very good player. He's thick build, but I think he's all right behind the plate. I've got some decent pop times on him. For an 18-year-old with that frame, like, all right, I'm kind of interested here in what Eduardo Tait brings to the table. So I've liked what I've seen of him. I think he probably spends the full season with single A Clearwater. But last year, in his 326 plate appearances, he mashed 11 homers. So that's 302, 356, 486. That seems pretty notable. So being one of the youngest players still after going to single A last year, that stands out in a big way. Tait hit a ball 112 and a half last year, miles an hour off the bat. Like, that's a shot. He was 17 to do that. And I think his 9th percentile was it was around 104, 103, 104 range. Don't have it in front of me at the moment, but he has legit juice for his frame and his age. But the chase is interesting. He's very aggressive. How will he fare over a full season? Well, we'll see. So, Eduardo Tait, very interesting. I think this was no surprise, though, like some of the other ones. And Pablo Guerrero is another one who last year did make it to single A as well. Guerrero is back in single A with the Rangers organization. He's 18 and 8 months, so still one of the younger players in single A, but he also made it there last year as a 17-year-old. Pablo's results at the complex were really, really good. And then he went to single A and he struggled a bit. But for the season, he still hit 276, 334, 442, and he had 8 home runs in his 317 plate appearances. I mean, what's most notable about Pablo Guerrero, to me at least, was his underlying data that took a massive jump. I mean, this was obviously, he's someone that stood out for a while. Like, he's brother of Vlad Guerrero Jr., so that obviously gets you a lot of hype. But the underlying data jump last year was like, okay, like this leads to a breakout. Hit 9th percentile EV of 106 miles an hour last year. I mean, considering he was 17, 18 last year, that's very impressive. Air rate north of 60%, pulled the ball 50% of the time. Contact rates were interesting. Overall contact rate 67% on the year, but he moved to single A and it jumped to 71%. In zone contact rate was around 80%. Chase rate's around 30. So could clean up the approach and contact, but Guerrero has legit power. No denying that. So Guerrero's assignment to single A, again, not surprising considering he went there last year, but at the same time, like I do think that it's notable that he will be back there at his age. The other guy that's his same age, you probably don't know his name. That's Owen Carey with the Braves. So the Braves have several younger guys that they drafted later last year, prep guys that are now in single A. So Owen Carey, he's 18 years old in 8 months. He is on the single A team, 15th round pick last year out of Londonderry High School in New Hampshire. We don't have much on him. He did get an at-bat in spring breakout, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure he came in at the end of the game, so that was pretty notable. He's 6 foot, 185 list. Interesting prospect that I'm curious to see what he can do. Now, this is somebody who last year spent some time in summer ball, is a 17-year-old in the Futures Collegiate League, and he was pretty solid. He put up some decent numbers, and the Braves obviously liked him enough to give him a little bit over slot deal. Owen Carey is somebody to keep an eye on. I think that his assignment's pretty notable in single A Augusta. The Braves have had a long history of pushing young prospects. So Owen Carey, keep an eye on him. We have Jeremy Rodriguez with the Mets. He's another young prospect who has all the talent in the world. And it wouldn't shock me if Jeremy Rodriguez kind of moved up boards pretty substantially this year. He was originally an Arizona Diamondback, and he was traded at 16 years old while he was still in the DSL, went to the Mets organization, and he spent the year at the complex last year, hit 282, 355, 400, 3 home runs, 17 steals. So with Jeremy Rodriguez, I do think there's a lot more in the tank than he's presently shown. I mean, this could be someone that really takes a step forward this year. He's got the athleticism. He's got the skill set. I like Jeremy Rodriguez a decent bit. He won't turn 8 or 19 until July 4th. So we'll get some time with him in single A as an 18-year-old. Several others that are his age, Luis Merejo Jr. of the Guardians. The Guardians are another org that pushes players aggressively. They also have Welbyn Francisca on this roster in Lynchburg, who will turn 19 fairly soon, but he's still 18 for the time being. So that's obviously notable. Both those guys, Merejo and Welbyn Francisca, big breakout potential. Merejo has big power at the first base position. Welbyn has a well-rounded skill set that could lead to a lot of intriguing things. So that team will be really fun and one that's on my list to see. I'm not sure how close Lynchburg comes, but I definitely want to see that team. So got them on my list. Keeler Morph with the Orioles. He was in the DSL in 2023. He actually went back. He was terrible in 2023. Went back in 2024. He got 22 innings, and the Orioles said, yeah, it's enough. We've seen enough. They sent him to single A. The command is bad, 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 bad. The stuff is good, good, good. In spring breakout, he threw 34 pitches in the first inning. They left him out to dry. Poor guy. But he's got an electric fastball up to 99. Again, he's 18. Pretty good secondary stuff. He'll be 18 until June the 9th. So he's on the single A roster with Delmarva. I'll see him the first week of May. Delmarva's on my list to see that week. So, yeah, very interested in how he progresses command-wise because the stuff's good, but he might just be an automatic bullpen guy if the command does not improve. So Keeler Morph should be somebody that you know. And the Braves also have another young guy in John Hill, their shortstop on Augusta's roster, single A. Hill's 18. He'll be 19 pretty soon. He's grown. He's at bat speed. He's a big breakout candidate. Very good stuff with John Hill. And then we have some notable 19-year-olds. just wrote down, like, I went through the youngest players, but here's some notable assignments real quick. Connor Griffin in single A, no shock. He's legit. He's 19 on the dot. Carter Johnson with the Marlins, prep guy last year. And Jesus Lopez of the Rangers, notable assignment to single A Hickory. He's 19 years old. He had a solid complex last year, and he reached single A last year as well. He's a fascinating player. He had a really good complex. He was solid in single A, so he'll go back there to catch. Really curious to see what he looks like this year. Other notables, Jeter Martinez and Ryan Sloan. Talk about a fun rotation. The Mariners single A rotation should be a ton of fun to watch. So certainly wish I was up in that area. Alfredo Duno, he's a young 19-year-old in single A. Asbel Gonzalez, he's a center fielder in the Royals org, 19.2 years old. Braylon Doty, prep righty last year, 19.3 years old. And you have Boston Bateman and Cash Mayfield, prep draftees last year, prep lefties with the Padres in single A as well. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with the high A notables and their assignments. All right, let's get back to high A and the discussion with the top prospects and youngest prospects there. Some notable young players. Leo Vries, no shock. He's heading to Fort Wayne. He skipped the DSL. He skipped the complex after signing last January. And DeVries had an awesome year. He got better as the year went on. Impressive 18-and-a-half-year-old. He is a lot of fun. I saw DeVries in the AFL. Saw him scorch the ball 110 miles an hour. It was a new max EV for him. And now he's heading to high A Fort Wayne. So no shock there. The Padres get aggressive. They did it last year. He handled himself fine. I'd expect he handles high A pitching fine as well. But what about this rocket ship named Juan Valera in the Red Sox org? Valera was assigned to Greenville pretty aggressively. And he is one of the youngest pitchers he is the youngest pitcher actually in high A. And I think he's the youngest pitcher in single A or high A too, which is pretty crazy. Right in line with Keeler Morph. I'd have to look at their birth dates and confirm. Valera is May 18th. So Valera's just slightly older, like a couple weeks older than Keeler Morph. But that shows you how much the Red Sox like this guy. They're sending him straight to high A. And I can't wait because I live in Greenville where he'll be. I'll see him and Peyton Tolley a lot. Can't wait. Valera, super fun. He is a rocket ship. He was up to 90, or he touched triple digits this spring, seeing like 96 on the fastball. I mean, changeup was up to like 94. That's absurd. And he's got a really good slider as well. The Juan Valera hype train is getting ready to leave the station. And if he comes out in Greenville and is hot, yeah, stock is going up. So I'd get in on Juan Valera pretty soon. I think that his assignment is incredibly notable. They sent him to high A. So that one obviously stands out. There's only, to this point, there were only, like, I think with the Dodgers, and I don't think the Dodgers had anybody they'd send to high A that was like younger than this, but those are the only two 18-year-olds in high A, Juan Valera and Leo DeVries. So there you go. Red Sox, very aggressive, and that only says a lot about them. Some other ones that are fairly young, had just turned 19. We have Juan Flores, a catcher in the Angels system. Flores is fascinating. They don't often use high A as one of their affiliates for like their legit prospects, but I actually think Juan Flores is fairly legit. He just turned 19, and he already went to high A last year, so no shock they're sending him back. I don't think he was ready for double A yet. He was good in single A last year. He was not so great in high A, but Juan Flores of the Angels, obviously somebody of note here. Yoferi Rodriguez in high A. Again, no surprise. Last year as an 18-year-old, young 18-year-old, he went to single A out of the gate, and he had a really good year. I saw Yoferi Rodriguez a good bit last year. See in the video right here. One of the games I saw him, he hit a nice opposite field home run. So he's a fun player, and now he's going to high A as a 19-year-old, 19 in 4 months, I think, for Yoferi Rodriguez. So notable assignment there, but the Brewers are always pretty aggressive, so not a shock. I do think this one's a little bit surprising, but maybe not. It's Arjun Nimmala going to high A, Vancouver. I don't love the landing spot. Like, he's a Florida boy, and he's now going to a super cold place early in the year. I would not be shocked if Arjun Nimmala struggles out of the gate. Like, Again, we're talking about somebody that's from Florida, that has played in Florida at the complex and Dunedin in single A. And like, hey, we're sending you to Vancouver. Good luck. I don't know how cold it is in Vancouver right now, but I can't imagine it's weather that I want to be playing baseball in right now. I'm actually going to put with weather because I'm very curious, like, how cold it is. It's not too bad. Okay. Mid 50s this week. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I'm being over dramatic here about this assignment, but if Nimmala struggles, I mean, there may be a legit reason to it. I like Nimmala a lot. He's a rocket ship prospect, could be a top 25 prospect pretty soon. Some notable pitching assignments, actually, some 19-and-a-half-year-olds. We have Charlee Soto of the Twins going to high A. Soto was one of the more underappreciated prospects last year. He had a phenomenal year in single A, and he's getting rewarded for it by being sent to high A. Cedar Rapids, you look on the surface, and the numbers weren't great. I get it. He had a 5.23 ERA, 1.5 whip. It wasn't the best year on the surface, but Soto's underlying pitch data, very, very good. I'm very intrigued by Charlee Soto. He's a very fun prospect. Loved my looks at him. And Steven Echeverria of the Athletics is going to high A as well. Now, Echeverria, this is an interesting case because they have been aggressive. They were aggressive with Luis Morales last year, and now they're being pretty aggressive with Echeverria this year. He's 19. He'll turn 20 in August, so like most of his year, he'll be a 19-year-old pitching in high A. Last year, I mean, he was drafted third round in 2023, but he was given a $3 million bonus, so that tells you what you need to know about him. Last year, the results, again, weren't good. 6.55 ERA in 57 innings, but there are some things to like. And they're saying, hey, here's your challenge. Step up to the plate and let's do it. Alex Clemmie, a lefty in the Nats org, they're sending him to high A Wilmington. So a very notable assignment there. Lefty, big stuff, fastball's ticked up. I mean, his slot's tough. Clemmie brings a lot to like to the table, and I'm very in on Alex Clemmie. I think his stock is on the rise as well, so watch out for him. A couple others that are the same age as him. Manuel Rodriguez, a pitcher. Shocker, he's in the Brewers org, and he's another underappreciated arm like Echeverria. Should tell you what you want to know about him, that they're like, hey, we like this guy enough to send him to high A. The Brewers tend to know what they're doing in their player dev. He pitched the entire year last year in single A as an 18-year-old, and he had a 3.23 ERA, a sub-1 whip. He walked, 2.7% of batters. Manuel Rodriguez is underappreciated. I think he's really sneaky good. I'll be watching him very closely in high. I'll just say that because I think Manuel Rodriguez could be the next guy that kind of pops in that org. They've done well with pitchers. It was Casey Hunt last year. Don't be shocked if it's Manuel Rodriguez this year. Pete's 19.5. He's going to high A. Colt Emerson's 19.5. He's going to high A as well. So the Mariners getting aggressive there, but much deserved. Adrian Santana, former first rounder in the Rays org. It is not panned out to this point, but I think it's important to remember how young he really is. He's being sent to high A Bowling Green. I'll see him again this week. I've seen him a lot. He's been relatively uninspiring, but he was a 2023 Comp A round, 31st overall pick, $2 million bonus. He's just rail thin. He has no power at all. It's a good contact profile, but lots of ground balls. It's good speed. He's an interesting prospect, but I think this is the year that Adrian Santana needs to show us something. So, younger prospect, still time. Nazan Zantello sent to high A by the Red Sox. A lot of swing and miss issues, a lot of big tools. So, Zantello, watch out for him because if it clicks, it's going to click and be real big, but he's going to have to make enough contact. Some others, Josue De Paula, he was in high A last year. Not official, but that's what I've been told. He's in high A, as well as Zaire Hope. De Paula's 19.8 years old. Zaire Hope's 20.2 years old. So just something to note there. That team could be a lot of fun in Great Lakes. A lot of good prospects. Some others that are still 19, Rafi Velasquez and Jason Churio. They'll turn 20 pretty soon, but they're in high A. And notable assignment there to Lake County. Didier Fuentes, much like Juan Valera, he's on a rocket ship too. His spring breakout performance opened a lot of eyes. He's a great arm. And he has been for a while. Like, if you don't believe me, just go back and look at my Twitter in 2023. And I told you that he was a stud. Just had to throw that in there. But George Lombard, 19 years old, going to high Hudson Valley. I said it this spring, but I don't think any player transformed themselves and their swing more than George Lombard Jr. did this offseason. Added mass, added bat speed, changed his swing, changed his stance, and he looks like a bona fide stud right now. I pushed him all the way to like my 30th ranked prospect, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 10 prospect at some point. I really believe in George Lombard Jr. Christopher Torin, he's still 19 for a little bit. He'll turn 20 pretty soon. Arizona Diamondbacks high A. And Kenny Gomez, he'll turn 20 very soon as well in the Astros org, but currently slotted in high A. Some other notable assignments that I wrote down: Chedry Vargas going to high A and trade to the Marlins, so he will be on that high A roster. It will be a lot of fun. We'll actually have that covered. We've got a new scout in Beloit for the Dynasty Dugout, so that'll be great to get some Midwest League coverage. And we'll have some Chedry film. I got him last year with the Rangers. Fun player, a lot of upside, very aggressive, and a lot of chase. Rosman Verdugo, 20 years old, with the Padres going to high A. Devin Saltabon, 20 years old, just turned 20. Phillies going to high A. He had one of the most underrated seasons in the Florida State League last year. Didn't know how legit it was. Saw him 3 times this spring, and I'm like, all right, he's legit. I pushed him to around like 250 with room to grow. The Orioles got aggressive with quite a few guys on their team: Leandro Arias, Thomas Sosa, and Aaron Estrada, all young 20-year-olds going to high A as well. And we have Santiago Suarez. People forget how young he is because he's been a name for so long, but Santiago Suarez, 20.2 years old, with pitching with high A Bowling Green. We'll see him again this weekend. So looking forward to that. Max Clark, 20.2 in West Michigan. So those are some of the notable assignments in high A. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk notable double A assignments, and I'll talk youngest players in triple A and what that means. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Dynasty Dugout for the best minor league coverage on the web. And we're just getting started. We'll have live looks galore. I'm scheduled out already all of April. Games I'll be at. So I'm looking forward to getting you more live looks, getting you video, everything you could ask for on the minor league coverage. We got it at thedynastydugout.com. Go check it out. I would much appreciate it. Hope you all have a great day.